thought somebody was over here.
Good afternoon. Matt, listen, when you're in this tournament, your game is, of course, elevated. Is it partly because you're playing with some players like Crosby? Has he had any influence on you in this tournament? What you see in the dressing room, what you see on the ice?
I think, a guy like him is our leader, and he leads by example, and I think everybody pushes themselves that way. But I think, everybody's game's elevated because we're playing together and we're playing with such great players, and it just, the game is a little easier to play with such elite talent, and it's never easy who you're playing against, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm just saying that when you're able to do the things that you want to do out there, and you don't really have to overthink things because everyone's where they're supposed to be. Guys who get you the puck, they're helping you be the best you can possibly be. So, and obviously the coaching as well. We know exactly where we're supposed to be at all times, and it's easy. You go out there and you just play your game.
Matt, would you say that playing with this group, with this coaching staff, will change you for the future?
I think even in Sochi, I thought after I played for Babs, when I came back, I had some new things that I was able to do, and especially on the defensive side of the puck, just positionally, everything's so detailed. You just know where you're supposed to be at all times. And even playing for Billy Peters in the spring last year, same thing. That hockey, I just knew where I was supposed to be all the time. So then outside of that, I just when the puck came our way, I could just go and play. And that's when hockey, becomes fun and a lot easier. And from the outside looking in, people are like, oh, he's always in the right spot, or he's always doing this right. Well, yeah, but it becomes almost robotic in a good way, where you just know what to do all the time.
Matt, how do you think this whole World Cup of Hockey tournament has gone on? What do you think about it?
Yeah, I think it's been awesome. It's been one of my favorite experiences I've had. I think, obviously from your guys' point of view and the fans' point of view, everyone's loving it, and I think it's a great thing for the game.
Are you able to get out and experience any of it, or are you in a bubble here?
A little bit of both. Just walking around, downtown and seeing the buzz and seeing everything, it's pretty awesome.
Is there a buzz?
I feel like there is. I think obviously now that there's only 2 teams left, it's maybe died down a little bit, but at the same time, we feel the love from our Canadian fans.
You guys played one of your worst games, they played one of your best, but you guys still won. Is that just a sign of how deep this team is? He still has the firepower to make up for maybe a tougher game?
Yeah, absolutely. It was, we tiptoed in a bit. They came out hard. They played very well defensively, and they play very detailed hockey. They have some obviously great talent, but yeah, we're looking to play a lot better tonight, especially if in a chance where we can clinch the title here. And I think you'll see a much better game.
How different was your team you saw last night than maybe the one you saw in the round robin?
They had a better game. I think we saw what they were capable of in the round robin, but they played better. They were dangerous. They were tough to break down. Their goaltending was just as good as it was in the round robin. We know what to expect from them.
What was the meeting like this morning?
Yeah, we just looked at some of the stuff we didn't do right, and we got to be better at. And we saw some good stuff, a little bit of everything, and stuff we can clean up, stuff we can, should continue to do.
Are you surprised that the team is so focused, and a guy like Sidney Crosby, who has nothing more to prove, but he goes out there and he's still focused and hungry. How does that? What does that say about him? I guess, and
well, for him, the 2 things. First of all, he's patriotic. He wants to be the best he can possibly be for Canada. The second thing is, when you're a guy like that and you're at the top of your game and one of the best in the world, if not the best, I think the best. You want to stay there and you want to make sure you keep proving your point. And that's what drives him. I know it does. I know he wants to stay at the top, and people look at him as being the top player in the game, and that's a tough job. You got to be on all the time. You can't take the big games off. You got to show up all the time, and I know that he is hungry to do that all the time.
Then you got to be in physical shape to be able to do that all the time, isn't it?
Yeah, he's had obviously some great chemistry this time around with Bergie and Marshy, and they're helping him out obviously. But no, Sid trains very hard, and I've seen that firsthand, being in the same training group as him in the summertime. And he's in great shape. He does everything right. There's not much. It's tough to find fault in anything he does, really.
Jager's famous for his after-hours training. Is Sid like that as well?
No, I don't think so. I think Sid puts the work in when, at kind of regular hours in the day, and then he's able to sleep at night.
Thanks.
Do you train a lot?
Do I?
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
of
after
course.
hours and
After hours. I train in the summertime 2 hours a day, usually 9 to 11, 9:30 to 11:30, and then I'll skate 3 times a week, kind of midsummer on. So yeah, I'm 7-8 workouts a week usually.
You say you work out with Sid in the summer?
We have in the past. We train under the same trainer. So
What's the trainer's name?
Andy O'Brien. At some point during the summer, we were together. A few years back, we were together for most of the summers. But that's when I was just starting out with Andy, and I needed to be with Andy one-on-one. Obviously, it was great to see Sid the way he did it, because he's been with Andy for like 13, 14 years now, and so he's a pro at everything that Andy preaches. So it's good for me to see what it's supposed to look like.
Where do these training sessions, where do they take place?
All over, but like depends where Sid wants to go. Kind of, he and I were in LA for my first summer together, and then he's in Halifax a lot now. I like to stay home in Halliburton now. My eventual goal was to, once I, was comfortable with my summer programs, and I felt good about those, that I would then settle in Halliburton for the summer, because I need the mental break up there and be home. Yeah. So.
who was your favorite player growing up?
Joe Sakic, Peter Forsberg, probably those two. Yeah, different times. They're both different, but I admired both of them equally.
And now?
Now, I mean, I don't really have one now. I have guys I like to watch. Sid obviously being one of them. Patrick Kane, Datsuk before he went back over. Those three probably off the top of my head that I could say that I really enjoy watching play hockey.
Is that story about number 9 is because of Rocky?
Yeah, Richard. Yeah, I mean, I can't really say he was my favorite player, because I wasn't alive when he was playing. But I watched the movie The Rocket when I was a kid, and I think that I just my dad really kept pushing me to wear number 9 for a long time, and I started wearing it, and then I saw that movie, and it kind of brought a whole new meaning for me for that. Obviously, I have a French-Canadian background. I don't speak a lick. I wish I did. My dad lost it all when he was a kid, but obviously watching that movie, The Rocket, he was a big icon for French-Canadian culture, and obviously one of the best players to ever play. So it gave a new meaning for the number for me.
You mentioned Forsberg and Sakic. They're great players and different types of players too. And where would Sid fit in with that group? I mean, quite different as well, right? Or
Sid's got a combo of both of them, I think. And that's kind of what I tried to emulate too growing up. Sakic was such a good two-way guy. Speed through the neutral zone, kept it simple, shot the puck lots. Lots of skill. Forsberg was more of that playmaking, down low, strong on the puck behind the net. That's kind of where I learned to play that way, was watching Pete play.
Okay.
A huge part of my game, I'd say the biggest part of my game, is playing below the goal line. And, I learned it from him. And then in Sid's early days, obviously, and he still does it. Like you can see that, this goal he set up last night. I watched Sid a lot when Pete was starting to, he retired there. He had that short stay when he came back with us, but watching that element, I know Sid, probably picked that up from watching Peter and other guys like that too.
Want water?
No, I'm good. I got one.
This is the second time, if I'm not wrong, that you play on the same team as Jonathan Toews.
Yeah.
You see quite a lot of him, I'm sure, in intra-division play.
Yeah. He's a guy that, he's going to be matched against the other team's top guy in this even in this tournament. I mean, he's like that during the year. He's got a tough job. He's got to, he's expected to produce a good amount of offense, and also play against the other team's top guys. So he's a guy that, obviously, his resume speaks for itself. There's not really much more to say about him. I mean, 3 Stanley Cups in a short period of time. One of the best leaders in the game. He's a guy I look up to a lot.
From playing against him and with him, are you at all able to put your finger on why he seems always to be on the winning side?
He's intense. I think he loves the game. He wants to do things the right way. I think he just loves it. I think he lives and breathes it. And I think at the end of the day, if it's your passion, you're gonna do whatever you can to be the best at it as possible. And I think, you know, that carries on. Obviously, he's been in a situation where, you know, he's been on a really good hockey team also. I mean, let's not overlook that as well. I mean, you can't do it by yourself nowadays. I mean, the fact that, you know, after look at Sid, you know, after he won that first cup, it took him a while to get his next one. I think everybody kind of thought there was a dynasty building there in Pittsburgh, and it's so hard to do that nowadays. So that kind of speaks volumes about the team that, you know, they have in Chicago and have had. I mean, they're a favorite every year to win the cup. So, but you know, he's the leader of that team. He's the player that drives that group.
How is it that there's not a clash of egos between like a Taves and a Crosby, because they're both similar in that they're both captains, they're both leaders? How is that handled in the dressing room? Like, what do you see?
Well, there's that kind of. It's a locker room for the most part full of alpha males, I guess. It's kind of funny to say that, but it really is. But the cool part about it is, and I don't know whether it's being Canadian or the hockey culture or whatever, but we all respect each other and what each other bring. We all identify. We don't have one alpha trying to be the alpha over everybody else. We have, you know, we know that we're a group of, you know, elite players and elite pros that want to be the guy all the time. But at the same time, we know that depending on your situation, you can't always be that. So we check our ego at the door, and you know, we respect each other so much, and you see the result. I mean, Sochi is the same way.
What part does Mike Babcock have in all that?
I mean, he's the same way. I mean, you guys have interviewed him. He's an alpha. He's absolutely an alpha, and but he has that unbelievable respect for all of us, and we have that respect for him. And he just knows the game so well and teaches it so. It's so simple, and he makes hockey very simple and easy to understand. And we go out there, and obviously, when you've got a group this elite, you know, when you can play such a great system, I mean, it just makes you better.
What defines him as a coach compared to other trainers that you've had?
I mean, he knows what he wants all the time. He's very detailed. There's never any gray area. It's black or white. And as players, we want that. I know I want that. I want to know when I mess up before he tells me, before I get back to the bench. I should know. And if I'm in the wrong position, I know I'm in the wrong position. There's no questions to be asked. And I like that as a player because, you know, then you're not thinking too much. You make your mistake, and then you move on.
With his experience from the Olympics, how important is his part in all this in a tournament like this?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, he's put forth a great structure, a great system for us from day one. It's allowed us to, you know, just go out there and play hockey.
Matt, going forward, if you look at Babcock, okay, he's won a Stanley Cup, he's been in the final 3 times, he's won back-to-back Olympic gold medals, he's on the verge of winning here. If he were to do that, how should the hockey world look at him in terms of stature and I mean, is he worthy of the Hall of Fame one day if he keeps this up?
Absolutely. I think now even you look at what he's been able to do with you know, and I think Hockey Canada does things so right. And it carries a lot of weight in the hockey world, and they just keep going back to him. And there's a reason for that. And I think, you know, I don't think there's a question of if. I think it's just a question of when, you know, he decides to you know, call it quits. You know, I think he'll be in the Hall of Fame for sure.
One of the guys, other than Babcock, we don't talk about much, is Yzerman, who puts this all together. What's your relationship with Yzerman? And
he's not part of this team.
Oh, he's not? I thought he was.
No.
Okay.
No, sorry.
But he's been part of the 2 previous Olympics.
Yeah, he was last Olympics. Yeah, I mean, he did a great job, obviously, with those 2 teams.
I think I was thinking of Yzerman because Crosby reminds me a little bit of Yzerman, the way Yzerman was a top scorer for a longest time, and then he became a 2-way guy, I think, under Scotty Pullman. Yeah. Crosby's made that evolution as well.
Yeah, you know, Sid's always been a good 2-way player, but he still puts up the points. I think, you know, that's a good comparison for sure. One of the best players ever, and compare them to another one of the best players ever. I mean, something that way.
The format of this whole thing is up in the air, like number of games, what teams they invite, the city, everything. Is there any changes that you'd like to see, or anything that you could think could be improved upon?
Yeah, there is, but I don't really think it's my place to talk about it. I think I've seen a lot of the opinions that are kind of out there, and I think, you know, a lot of us kind of agree with that. So, you know, I don't think it's my place to really comment too much on that.
Do you agree with your coach's opinion?
I didn't really see his, but I think I know what it is.
It's country. Keep it to countries.
Yeah, I'm a traditionalist. I like the And that's not to slight the North Americans or team or this Team Europe team, because this Team Europe team deserves everything they've gotten, and they're a great group. But I know even for them, I saw their quotes, it means more for them to play for their country than to play for kind of an all-star team. So I like the traditional side of it, absolutely.
Well, then canvass your opinion later on to get. Will you have a choice? Like, will you be able to voice your opinion later to the Players Association?
I think we all will. I think they'll ask us. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, guys.
Thanks,
Matt, there's talk about